So in this lesson, you're going to learn how to create a Docker-based pipeline for the album viewer application with Azure Devops. So let's get started with that. So this is the album viewer project, and if you click on the project, you can see the pipelines. This is the existing pipeline, which is a simple pipeline. Let's now create a new pipeline, and this time for the Docker. So you pick the repository, that is the Azure DevOps repo. Then you select the name of the repository, and now you select the project here. So there are two options actually, one for the Docker image build, and then there is second one which not only builds the image but also publishes it to the registry. So we're going to pick the first one, which is for the Docker image build. Now you also have to provide the path to the Docker file with respect to your repository here. And then once you select that, you can also choose, you'll see an editor for the pipeline. You can choose to change the name of that. Let's call it as Azure Pipelines -Docker build.yaml. And then you can examine the pipeline here. So this is the stage, the build stage, which is what is going to build the image with Docker. So Docker build is what it is going to run in an environment. Now, talking about the environment, the one you see here as part of the VM image is called as Ubuntu latest. Now, our application is a ASP.NET Core application, and we want to run it with a Windows image. So for the Windows image, you'll have to pick a specific version of that. So let's go to this repository which talks about the documentation about this particular pipeline. So this has a description about how do you build an image and what are the options that you can use. And out of that, you find this Windows container images. And if we click on that link, it'll take you to the next page, which shows you the options which are available. There are a bunch of those options, a few options for Windows Server. So I am going to pick the latest version of the Windows Server, because that is what is compatible with this specific version of the image. So I'm going to pick either Windows-2019 or Windows-latest. So let's go back to the YAML file and update the VM image. Instead of Ubuntu, we use now Windows 2019. That's it. So it's time to save and run, add a description. That's what is added as a commit message to the Git repository. So once you save and run, it adds the commit and triggers the new build. So this is the first build for the Docker-based pipeline now. And if you look at the description, you'll see that it is using the image, which is Windows image. And it is going to begin by checking out the repository. Then actually it goes to the image build process. When it goes to the image build process, you will see that .NET Core SDK version of the image. And that should match your Docker file as part of your repository. So if you click on the Docker file, open it, you will see the image there, which is the .NET Core SDK. That's the first version, or the first image, because we have a multi-stage Docker file now. So this process is going to take some time because it's actually pulling an image, a Windows-based image, adding the code to it. And then after that, it's going to start modifying things, building the application, etc. So I'm just going to wait till this process finishes. As you can see, it's executing all those run instructions, etc. for, let's say, .NET Restore and so on. So it would copy over the source code, it would run the .NET Restore, .NET Publish, and then it would go to the second stage as part of the Docker file. Let's wait for it. All right, so that's the second stage, because it's now, you see that image being pulled again, which means it should have started pulling the image for the runtime. And if I just come back after some time, I should see most of that build is being finished now. Actually, you see a bunch of intermediate containers created, the publish command being run. Now it's the time when it is actually pulling the new image, the runtime one. All right, so it goes ahead and builds the image. Now, one thing you will note is it does not tag it as anything. So this is more like a test build of your image, whether your Docker file is fine or not. That's what you can validate with this particular pipeline, which is not the best because you also want this image to be published somewhere. So you've built the image and all of that, but you're not publishing it anywhere. That's not a really good idea from the continuous integration point of view, because everything is fine. Let's go ahead and publish the artifact. And that's what we are going to do, or we should be doing. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you in the next lesson, where we would take this forward and add the image registry part there. So it should build the image and then it should publish it to the registry. In this case, we are going to take the Azure Container Registry.